Chapter 25. Sally found Jeremy in the pub. Not drinking before a performance, I hope, she scolded. No, don't be daft. I take my career way too seriously to do that, replied Jeremy. Would you like a drink? Just an orange juice, please, said Sally. So how are things? I have hardly seen you this week. It is strange not being in the next play. Mind you, the way things are going, you should be careful. You should be grateful you are not in it. What about those wigs and costumes, eh? I can't believe Gwendolyn is going to get away with her whole concept. And we have got all the bloody repertoires coming to watch us make fools of ourselves. Sally was in full flood when she suddenly realized she was getting no response from her friend at all. He was staring off into space, fiddling with a card. Hey, hello, Earth calling. Anyone at home? Jeremy, whatever is the matter with you? Sally shook his arm and finally Jeremy focused on her. I'm so sorry, Sally. I have a lot on my mind. There is so much to tell you, but I'm not sure we should talk about it now as we have a show in an hour. Can I come to your place tonight after the play finishes? I really need to talk to you. Yes, of course you can, silly. We'll get some fish and chips or something on the way home. She gave him a big hug, finished her orange juice and went back to work, leaving Jeremy once more gazing into space. At the stage door, Sally bumped into Giles and Robert deep in conversation. She nodded as she passed but didn't stop. She was curious as to what their relationship actually was. Were they lovers? She didn't think so, but maybe they had been once. Robert certainly kept close to the man at the top and played all sorts of political games that Sally could only guess at. She really didn't care, unlike Sarah. The latter, it would seem, was on a mission to make herself the leading lady. She really was something else, and Sally wasn't sure she had much respect for the girl. Success at any cost? Not for Sally anyway. She wanted to be able to face herself at all times and know she had shown integrity and respect to herself and others. She adored being an actress and just wanted to be able to do the work, knowing she had fulfilled those criteria. Sally went down to the props room to find Heather, who was as usual surrounded by an assortment of props, dirty coffee mugs, and always one member of the crew asleep in her chair or eating her biscuits. Sally, the very person I do not want to see. Oh, sorry. Sally, the very person I do want to see, exclaimed the stage manager happily. Can you be on the book tonight? I need to have a meeting with all the heads of department about our next offering. I gather you actors, or rather actresses, are not happy with your costumes. Sally chuckled. Well, yes, that would be an understatement. But to be honest with you, Heather, I don't think anyone much cares what the actress thinks. Giles has a vision of sex in ancient Greece that he is going to parade before the residents of crew and the director of the repertory organization. Whether we like it or not, we will either be run out of town or never work again, or both. Yes, I will be on the book tonight, no problem. Is everyone in on the job who would be? Is everyone in and on the job who would be? Who should be? She added. All present and correct, thanks, Sally. I owe you one. Heather gave her a smile and set off to find her team. The evening show went without a hitch until Act 2, when Percy, in his robe at St. Thomas Mall, got the edge of the huge coat he wore caught in the grey oak door. Obviously, his grey oak door was only plywood, covertly disguised by the scene builders and painters as solid oak. If one opened or closed it too vigorously, it shook or was in danger of snapping. Percy was trying very hard to extricate himself while giving a rather moving speech to Mrs. Moore. Peggy was also trying to find the problem from the audience by standing sideways and holding out her long dress. Word spread backstage as suddenly the wings were full of actors bent double and with laughter. Percy kept looking into the wings towards Sally, desperate for help, but even she was trying hard not to laugh. It was just one of those awful things that happen on stage sometimes. Suddenly there was a ripping sound, with Peggy covered with a wrenching cough as she fell upon Sir Thomas and tried to get him out of the great oak door, but the bloody door was stuck fast. Peg was now so determined to get them off the stage that all reason and logic left her, and the next thing she was climbing out of the window, pulling Sir Thomas with her. Bearing in mind they were supposed to be in a castle. Even if they were lucky enough to have been on the ground floor, it was still a leap to terra firma. But Peggy could not care less about the reality of the scene. She just wanted out. So Sally brought the curtain down. As Sir Thomas More disappeared, ass over tit out of the castle window. Happy days. Percy and Peggy came charging into the wings, absolutely furious. Why didn't you do something, Sally? How could you leave me there struggling? Percy demanded. I have never been so humiliated in my life. Come on, Peggy. Let's get changed for the last act. Though God knows if anybody has bothered to stay and watch, my performance was ruined. Percy was off up the stairs, followed by a placatory Peggy clutching a packet of digestives that she always kept in the wings for emergencies. The rest of the play passed without incident, and the cast took an extra curtain call, so Percy was mollified. Everyone decided it was definitely a night for the pub. You coming, Sally? Asked Simon, giving her bum a squeeze as he passed. Truth be told, he rather fancied Sally, but the opportunity had never presented itself yet. Maybe tonight. Get off my bum, you pervert, Sally laughed. Sorry, Simon, not tonight. I have got a date with Fish and Chips and Jeremy. Oh, God. More line learning and intellectual discussion about his acting, mocking Simon. The boys often took the mickey out of poor Jeremy now because he did take his work so seriously. Well, more fool you is all I can say, Simon went on. You could have had a fabulous evening with me in the pub. A few pints, then a quick trip to Mrs. Wong's and back to my place for a shag. What more could you want? Sally shook her head as she took a swipe at the incorrigible boy and told him to get lost. She finished clearing up and switched off all the lights, then went upstairs to get her stuff from the dressing room. As she passed Peggy and Percy's dressing room, she heard us stifle giggle. She paused and knocked on Peggy's door. Are you okay, Peggy? Can I get you anything before I go? There was a sound of shuffling and someone moving around, and then Percy's voice rang out loud and clear. She has gone home already, my dear. Thank you for your concern. Let us hope the great oak door opens tomorrow night, shall we? Good night. Sally called back a good night as she climbed the stairs to her room. Well, what was that all about? No doubt young Sarah doing some more work on her part. Just then Jeremy came out of the boys' dressing room and interrupted her musing. Hi, are you ready to go? He asked. Just getting my bag and stuff, she replied. As they went downstairs, Sally tried to listen for any sound from Percy's room. Jeremy looked at her as if she had gone mad as she tiptoed past the door. What the? He started to ask, but she put her finger to her lips and mouthed, Tell you later. Outside, Sally took Jeremy's arm and started to explain all about the incident with Sarah and the dresses and her new role. Jeremy, however, was only half listening as he tried to work out exactly what he was going to tell his friends tonight. He had spent the whole day trying to get Eddie out of his mind. All through his preparation for the evening performance, all he could concentrate on was Eddie's kiss, his mouth. There had been a moment on stage tonight when he had forgotten his line. It was every actor's worst nightmare. 1 minute everything's going swimmingly, then suddenly there is a pause. Jeremy had a vision of Eddie's smile in front of his eyes. He was leaning in to touch his face, and all around was silence, deafening silence, silence. Christ, who was supposed to be talking? The face in front of Jeremy was Percy, panic in his eyes, begging Jeremy to come up with his next line. The moment seems to last for hours, though it was only a few seconds in, but Jeremy wanted to die. Never had this happen before. He was mortified. He apologized to Percy when they came off stage, but the older man just laughed it off. Don't worry, mate, it happens to the best of us. Doesn't half give you a kick in the bollocks, though, hey, Jeremy? Sally's voice was concerned. You kept going off into another place, and I have no idea what you're thinking. Are you worried about work? Because if you are, don't be. You're a marvellous actor, and I'm sure they're going to give you Lastus in Hamlet. It will be so exciting. And Sally, please. Jeremy literally stopped Sally there and then in the street, took both her hands in his, and he faced her. Please stop. I have to talk to you. I'm going mad, Sally. I have fallen in love. Chapter 26. When the two friends got back to Sally's flat, she put the fire on, opened a bottle of wine, and made poached eggs on hot buttered toast, while Jeremy poured his heart out. Once they were seated in front of the fire, Sally offered her opinion. Why is it so terrible that you're falling in love? You should be over the moon, she managed to say through a mouthful of toast. I know, groaned Jeremy, but it is not part of my plan. I do not want to get involved with anything other than my work. You know, we have talked about this so often, Sally. I feel it is so important that I focus completely on my job. We have got Hamlet coming up, and that will be tough for all of us. But dearest, life can never really be ordered and controlled like you are suggested. And in fact, having someone in your life can add to your understanding of yourself and others and help you with your performance. She watched her friend fiddle unenthusiastically with his food. Don't you want that? She couldn't resist asking. Jeremy smiled. Not really hungry. Here you are. I know you are dying to have it. He passed her his plate. The other thing we haven't mentioned is the whole issue of being gay. I don't understand how this has happened to me. when I have never fancied a man before. Why now? Suddenly, Sally thought about this as she ate the last piece of toast. But have you ever really fancied a girl, anyone? She asked. Jeremy finished off the wine in his glass and poured another. After a couple of sips, he answered Sally with a sigh. No. Sally suddenly had a vision of Mac for some bizarre reason. She had fancied him when they had met again, which was in Cheltenham. He had never got in touch afterwards, and yet Sally had felt there was a real connection between them. But then, like Jeremy, she was not really interested in anything at the moment except acting. So whose fault was it that Mac had not been given sufficient reason to call? It is so hard to deal with these intense emotions, isn't it? She said softly, but I really believe you must go with your heart. Eddie obviously feels the same about you. But what will his parents say? Surely they will not understand their son and heir being gay. Oh, Jeremy, I don't want to see you get hurt. Go gently and don't rush things, and be careful. Jeremy leaned over and gave Sally a big hug. He felt so safe with her. He loved the fact that they could talk about anything and share intimate secrets about themselves. Would he have that with Eddie? Just the thought of him made Jeremy's stomach do a somersault. It was no good, he knew, trying to discuss anything rationally. He had to pursue this thing to whatever conclusion occurred. He was completely smitten. He left Sally with a promise to go slowly and embrace his newly found love with caution. However, as he walked home in the cold November night, he was already planning how he could meet up with Eddie as soon as possible. After Jeremy had left, Sally cleared up and started to take her makeup off. When the door opened and her sister bounced into the flat, followed by Simon carrying a bottle of beers. Hi, Sally. Didn't expect you to be up. Still, just as well you are, as we would probably have woken you up anyway. Sit down, Simon, and give me the beers, and I will stick them in the fridge. Would you like some scrambled eggs on toast? Dora suggested as she made her way to the kitchen. But before Simon could answer, Sally piped up. Actually, I just used up all the eggs. Jeremy came back for a drink and we had poached eggs. Sorry. Dora made a face. Oh, pooh. Well, that is a bummer. Have we got any bread left? We can have toast and marmite or something then. Simon flicked open the top of a can and joined in the discussion. Don't worry about me, darling. Beer's fine. Come on, don't fret. Come and sit with me. Sally could guess where this was leading, and she followed Dora into the kitchen as her sister went to put the beers in the fridge. What are you doing? She whispered. You are surely not considering letting Simon stay the night by any chance. Dora turned and studied her. What is this all about? The older sister taking of the younger sister a morals welfare? I don't know if he is going to stay the night yet. It depends. But if he does, this is really my business, don't you think? Come on, Sally. I'm old enough to decide these things for myself. Sally snorted. You are 18, for God's sake. I was still a virgin then. Well, I'm not, replied Dora, relishing the dropping of this bombshell. Sally was absolutely dumbfounded, but one look at her sister's smug expression made her determined not to reveal the extent of the horror she felt. Oh, I see. Well then, I guess you know what you're doing. Hey, how many men have there been in your short life? She asked with no attempt to hide the sarcasm. Uncomfortable now with where this conversation might go, Dora did not answer immediately. While she was deciding how to deal with this rather tricky subject, Luck intervened and Simon appeared in the kitchen doorway. Come on, girls, give it a break. I'm trying to chill out here. Are we going to have a cozy threesome? He snickered. Oh, grow up, Simon, snapped Sally. I will leave you both to it. Good night. She marched up to her bedroom and slammed the door, then regretted the gesture. They probably thought she was jealous. Simon was always trying it on with her, and now he was hanging around her sister. How pathetic was that? And what the hell was Dora up to? Had she really lost her virginity already? Sally was outraged, and yet she realized that it truly was none of her business, was it? She thought about their parents and wondered if they knew about Dora. Thinking about them made Sally feel so homesick and alone. Talking to Jeremy's earlier had caused her to stop thinking about her own life and what she really wanted from it. Now she began to feel there was a chasm between her and Dora. Their lives were no longer under the auspices of their parents. The family had changed, and she had to change also. But how? She suddenly felt very tired and resolved to have a long talk to Dora about everything and get things straight between them. Life was difficult enough without arguments with her sister. As she hit the pillow, Sally heard music coming from the other room and Dora's throaty laughter. Oh God, how was she going to face them both in the morning if Simon stayed? Sally accepted that she was being ridiculous and getting herself in a tizzy for no good reason, except there was a reason: Dora's welfare. Just because she had a few drinks, did her sister really have to stoop so low as to sleep with a slob like Simon? The answer was probably yes. If that was the case, then the less she knew about it, the better. She would get up earlier, and if Simon was here, she would make herself scarce and get out quick. Sally managed to smile to herself as she felt sleep start to take her away from all this pettiness. Come on, girl. You have dealt with worse than this in your life, she told herself. Get a grip. But her body was gone, drifting into blissful unconsciousness. She would save the groping for another day. Chapter 27. A Man for All Seasons ended this coming Saturday, which would mean a busy night for everyone getting the old set out and the new one in. However, it was a little easier this weekend as they had 3 weeks rehearsal for Hamlet. The actors were given a special dispensation to have the night off, and Sunday and Monday morning too. Several of the cast had decided to go home to family and loved ones. Jeremy immediately rang Eddie and told him the good news. Fabulous, Eddie was pleased. I have such a plan for the weekend you will not believe your eyes. How about I come over Saturday morning and pick you up? Presumably you will finish even earlier because you are not in Lysistrata, are you? Jeremy had not even thought of that. Yes, you're right. I will check today just to make sure. I can't wait. Talk to you later. Oh yes, my lovely man. This is the beginning of a beautiful thing. Bye. The phone went dead in his hand, but Jeremy held on a little longer, trying to feel Eddie through the handpiece. Silly me, he whispered. He then set off to find Heather, and as usual found the poor woman struggling with piles of props in her room. Oh, Jeremy, perfect timing. Can you help me get these boxes off my desk and find a space in a corner somewhere? It's murder in here on get out weekends. Would you like a coffee? The kettle has boiled. It's over here by the sink, and there is fresh milk in the fridge. Jeremy agreed to all demands, and 5 minutes later, the pair of them were sipping coffee on a relatively empty props table. So how is the world treating you, my dear? Asked Heather, who liked to keep tabs on everybody if she could. I notice you have not been in the pub much lately. Are the lads giving you a hard time still? No, thank God. They are learning to leave me alone, especially as I am the official cleaner of the boys' dressing room in return. So we're all happy. No, it's just because I wasn't in this week's production and you didn't overload me with prop finding or other chores that I had been getting out and about a bit. There is some lovely countryside outside Crewe. Jeremy took a swig of coffee before asking his question. Crossing his fingers under the table for luck, he went on. Heather, I don't want to appear cheeky, but as I am not in the last performances on Saturday, and if I make sure I have done all my duty, is there a possibility I could leave lunchtime on Saturday? Core, you are pushing your luck, mate, chuckled Heather. However, in my great wisdom, I see no reason why not. But how will you make it worth my while? Jeremy stood up and went and rinsed his mug in the sink, creating a moment of drama with the silence. He then turned slowly and announced, you have a choice of chocolate, cigarettes or wine. Name your price, Heather Rawlings. Chocolates, please, and make it a nice big box, she added. Naturally, my dear, that is a deal. Jeremy blew her a kiss and practically skipped out of her office. He then went to the green room to call Eddie back, hoping there was no one around while he did so. With luck, the others were all still in bed. He was in luck. The room was empty, though it smelled of last night's stale ready meals and pot noodles. But for once, Jeremy did notice he was a man on a mission. He dialed the number and waited nervously, picturing an enormous entrance hall and the butler, as described by Eddie, gliding serenely across the marble floor to answer the telephone. Crewe Hall, who is calling, please? The tone was perfect. Oh, good morning. It is Jeremy Sinclair here. I am one of the actors of Crewe's theatre this season. I was hoping to talk to Eddie, if that is possible. I'm afraid he's out with his lordship, sir. They have a shooting party this morning, followed by lunch. Can I take a message? Yes, thank you. That would be great. If you could just tell Eddie I have arranged a tour of the theatre for him on Saturday, if that is convenient. And could you ring me as soon as possible and confirm? Of course I will do so. Thank you for your call, Mr. Sinclair. The phone went down. Well, I have done all I can, thought Jeremy. It is now in the hands of the gods. 2 more days to wait, and oh, the anticipation. He made his way back upstairs to the dressing room, thinking to have a clear up, but also to look at Hamlet and start to accustom himself to the script. To his joy and delight, he had been summoned to Giles Longfellow's inner sanctum a few days ago, and Giles had offered him the role of Lattes. Jeremy was over the moon and said so. Thank you so much, sir. I am very excited about the production and will not let you down. Giles looked at Jeremy from across his huge mahogany desk. which was his pride and joy, and stapled his fingers under his chin. This was his favourite pose, denoting thoughtfulness and good nature, the all-giving master. I hope not, Mr. Sinclair, I hope not. He bestowed a smile upon his minion and then turned to the papers on his desk. Jeremy has been dismissed. He went to the dressing room and did his usual clean around and collecting dirty mugs. Bloody boys. He got his script and a couple of bits and pieces he would need at the weekend, then took the mugs up to the green room where he tried to call Sally at her flat. There was no answer, but as Jeremy came back down, they met mid-air stare. Hi, darling, what are you up to this morning? He greeted Sally. I just wanted to ring you to take you to for an early lunch or brunch. What do you say? Actually, that would just hit the spot, Jeremy. Thank you. Can you wait while I dump this laundry back? What you need for ironing? Dora was supposed to do it last night, but she had a visitor. Sally sounded fed up and weary. Oh, tell all, said Jeremy eagerly. Wait till we are sitting down, said Sally, and went on up to the wardrobe department with a bundle while Jeremy carried on down to the stage door to wait for her. Gladys was ensconced in her corner with the knitting as usual. Morning, young sir. How are you doing, my son? You've had a bit of time off this last couple of weeks. That must have been nice for you. Yes, it was lovely, Gladys, and I will be off early Saturday too. I'm waiting for Sally to take her to lunch, as the poor girl will be working non-stop. She's a lovely lass, that Sally, so different from her sister. Chalk and cheese, that pair, she sniffed. Gladys' sniff was infamous and could tell 1,000 tales. Jeremy was just about to ask her for illumination, but Sally appeared at his side. Ready when you are. Hi, Gladys, we are going into town. Do you want anything brought back? Asked Sally. No, you are all right. Enjoy your lunch. See you later. The pair set off down the hill to the town square. Where shall we go? Asked Sally. I know, said Jeremy, looking very pleased with himself. They have opened a lovely little cafe just off the square. It does amazing all-day breakfast. Follow me. Once they had got sat down, and Sally had ordered a full English, and Jeremy scrambled eggs and smoked salmon, a real luxury. The pair attacked a pile of toast washed down with huge mugs of tea. Jeremy let Sally settle down before he asked, so what's the trouble? Why do you think there is trouble? Replied Sally, still munching her hot buttered toast. Well, you look tired and stressed, which is understandable with these schedules, but getting to act in between is usually the sweetener, and you don't seem very sweet, my love. Noted Jeremy, sitting back at his food arrived. There was a few moments' silence when the plates were put on the table, and Sally took advantage of the time to try and get her through and her thoughts in order. When Dora came to stay with me, it was partly for support, but also a way for her to discover new things she might like to do in the future if she abandons this idea of business studies. She was always very keen on design and fashion and very good at drawing and art. It was her idea to try and get a job in the wardrobe department, which she did, but now she has decided she wants to be an actress. Sally took a big mouthful of bacon and sausage. Well, that is okay, isn't it? Responded Jeremy, trying to understand. You won't be in competition. You are both very different. That may be so out in the big wide world, but here in a small company like this, we all knew where we stood when we took the job. There were parts we would like to do, and hopefully if we proved ourselves, those paths would follow. I know there are people in this company who will play dirty, given half a chance to get what they want, but I just didn't expect it from my sister. Sally could feel tears pricking the back of her eyes and took another mouthful of food to distract her. Jeremy looked shocked. What are you talking about, Sally? What has happened to make you say this? Obviously you have not been around for any of this production. In fact, did you even come to the first night? Oh yes, of course you did. You wouldn't miss hobnobbing with the great and the good of the repertory system in this country. Did you get any work offered to you? She waited for his reply. No, I didn't, as a matter of fact, and I left early anyway. But come on, Sally, don't start having a go at me again. I'm in love for the first time in my life. Cut me a bit of slack. Sally smiled at her friend. Yes, okay, you're right. Now is not the time. Well, on the first night it was a riot. You saw what we looked like. All the hair and see-through costumes. I felt like a stripper, to be honest. Charmaine looked rather fetching, though, because her wig was dark, and she asked for a bit more coverage with the costume. So there we were, Dora and I, in our matching strawberry blonde wigs with diaphanous gowns, doing our thing. I was thrilled because I got a round of applause for my song, and I know I made the best of a bad job of a rather dull character. Anyway, we all go upstairs to meet the bigwigs, pardon the pun, and to work the room. But of course, now we are without a hair, no one recognizes us. So we have to be very clever and make sure at the top of any conversation that the director in question knows exactly who we were. I was doing okay, but you know me, I got so intimidated by all that stuff. And and after half an hour, I went and sat down with Janine, and we just watched all the shenanigans. Suddenly, I saw my sister giving this man the full beam of her headlights. He was obviously completely smitten and hanging on her every word. They chatted for quite a while, and then Dora turned and spotted me watching. Suddenly, she was kissing him on both cheeks and was off to the other side of the room. Called me suspicious, but I smelled a rat and decided to go and ask Dora what she was up to. I caught her about to leave for the pub with Simon and Peter. Hi, Sally, we're off to the pub. Why don't you come with us? She said, practically pushing the boys out of the door. Yes, I will. Okay, let's go, I said, and followed her out. We didn't talk much until we got to the pub, and while the boys were getting the drinks, we found a table at the back. It was very busy, and all the locals were congratulating us and blowing wolf whistles, etc. I had to stop Dora during a tour of the room, otherwise we would have been there all night, and I was knackered and still needed to find out what she had been up to before the boys came back. Who were you talking to in there? I asked. It all looked very intense, and then suddenly you left him. Who was he? Oh, some director, nobody important, I don't think. Anyway, he was telling me how much he loved my song and what I had made of a difficult part. He was basically suggesting I might like to go and do a season at his theatre, which was nice. I just can't remember which theatre, though. I'm hopeless. Then the boys arrived with the drinks, and Simon congratulated Joel on her performance in the bar. I asked him what he meant, and he started telling me that Dora had nailed this director from Nottingham Playhouse, no less, and he had offered her a job. Well, you can imagine how my ears pricked up. Was this the man you're talking to? And you said you couldn't remember his name, I asked. And Dora looked really nervous. Yes, I guess so, but it was no big deal. He won't remember my name. Oh, yes, he will, said Simon, because he checked you out on the program and everything. Mind you, he was looking at the wrong name, wasn't he, Dora? Jeremy looked at Sally and said, I don't think I want to hear what is coming next. Can you believe it? Simon goes on to tell us that the guy had got the wrong actress. It should have been me, and that Dora made no attempt to put him straight. Dora then pretends it was all a big mistake, so she was going to tell the man, but she couldn't find him later. It was so embarrassing, as someone was loving her a minute, so I just told Dora we had to go and made her leave. As Sally ate her breakfast, she remembered the walk home to the flat and the scene that followed. They'd gone into the flat, stuck some money in the meat, and got the fire going. Both then went and changed into their big woolly dressing gowns, and Sally had put the kettle on. Tea made, the girls had huddled in front of the fire, and Sally had challenged her sister. You let the director from Nottingham Playhouse think you were me, didn't you, Dora? Well, yes, but I wouldn't have kept it up. I was going to tell him at some point. But Dora could not look at her sister in the eye. And at what point would that have been, I wonder? On the first day of the new season, when you had signed and sealed the contract? How could you do that to me? I'm your sister, Dora. I brought you here to crew to help you find yourself, and you have done nothing but try to muscle in on my job. And now you have taken a job away from me. What is your problem? What have I ever done to you to deserve this? Sally had been shouting and pacing the floor. Dora waited a few moments before giving her explanation. Sally, this is not personal. I do love you, and I am grateful for everything you have done for me, but I do want to get on in my life, and I have decided that acting is something I love doing. But unlike you, Sal, I am the sort of person who goes for it no matter what. I grab what I can in the moment. You are very happy to stroll along with everything and everybody and drink the whole company thing. Well, this is not me. I'm sorry. I want to be numero uno, the center of attention, and if an opportunity presents itself to me like tonight, I take it. Does that make me a bad person? She just looked up at Sally. She looked up at Sally, who was still pacing. Sally was so confused and hurt angry she barely knew how to answer. At this moment, I don't know what to think, Dora. But I am your sister, and I would have thought in this case there might have been a degree of loyalty. But Sally, you will get so many offers from this season. I know it. This one just seemed to have my name on it, and I honestly thought you would be pleased for me. Sally had felt her anger rising like bile in her throat, and had shocked herself by how much dislike she was feeling for Dora. Her sister was playing the manipulative card, turning it all onto Sally. It was late, and Sally had the good sense to know that this problem was not going to go away any day soon. She needed to really talk about the consequences, not just with regards to her position in the company and how to maintain that position, but her relationship with her sister, which could be damaged irrevocably. Let's leave it there for now, shall we? Sally had said. Good night, Dora. See you in the morning. She had gone to her room and quietly closed her door, just catching Dora rather faint. Good night. Sally finished her story, including what had happened at the flat the previous night, and her full English all at the same time. Picking her mug of tea, she regarded Jeremy over the rim as he sat back in his chair. He looked a little shocked. And on top of all this, she sat with Simon, was his first comment. Sally burst out laughing. Oh, Jeremy, I do love you. Trust you to pick up the least important issue of the whole mess. Yes, she brought him back to the flat. I was so cross. And then she had the gall to brag that she had lost Virginia much sooner than me. She is right, little hussy in the making, tutted Jeremy. But seriously, she is something else, Sally. I'm disgusted and absolutely on your side. Where is the loyalty? But you are right. This problem is not going to go away, and you don't have many choices. Can we send her home? With what excuse? I can't tell my parents we have a big falling out. It will destroy them, especially my mum. I think I'm just going to have to keep a sharp eye out and unfortunately learn to fight for my corner. Sally gave a long sigh. It feels so much better to have someone to talk to about it. Thank you. At least if you share the knowledge, you might have some suggestions as we go along. Now I must go and give my Welsh mountain pony impersonation with my trade-off sister at my side. Oh dear, what next say? Are you okay though? Sorry, it has been all about me. Taking things slowly, I hope. Sally peered into Jeremy's face, looking for signs of a lie, but he gave her a charming smile that told her nothing, and said, Don't you worry about me, my pet. I'm doing fine, but we'll be away this weekend in Manchester, so do try and keep everything together until I get back. Yes, sir, but please remember, Jeremy, I want you to play Hamlet in my player's piece, and I would appreciate some input from you when we rehearse, although I know you are going to be up to your eyes with fight scenes and mad scenes and what have you. Gosh, is it going to be so exciting? It is going to be so exciting. Just go easy and make sure you are rested and raring to go. Jeremy laughed and gave his friend a big kiss and hug. If truth be known, he was feeling very guilty because the last thing he would be on Monday morning was feeling ready to go after a weekend of wild lovemaking, he hoped. Thanks for listening.